7:13 a.m. Two police cruisers in my driveway, lights flashing, the lead cop's hand hovering near his belt like I'm some kind of threat. And I'm just holding a coffee mug with a civil engineering firm's logo on it. 6 months ago, I bought this 3.2-acre plot of land on the edge of the Oakwood Falls subdivision. Paid in full, deed in hand, and standing 40 feet back with her arms crossed is the HOA president, a woman named Deborah Livingston, smirking behind her designer sunglasses like she'd just won the lottery. 4 hours earlier, she'd called 911. Told them there was a dangerous, possibly armed squatter refusing to leave. Classic swatting move. Except I'm a 54-year-old veteran who just wanted to build a workshop in peace. The morning air smelled like fresh-cut grass and her desperation. What she didn't know, I had the one piece of paper that was about to flip her entire world upside down. What would you do if someone tried to get you arrested on your own land? Drop a comment below. I'm curious. My name's Greg Holland, 54, divorced, 2 kids in college, 20 years in the Army Corps of Engineers before I started a civil engineering consultancy here in Austin. I'm not the kind of guy who goes looking for trouble. I've had my fill of that overseas. The property is gorgeous. A 150-year-old live oak tree dominates the front yard. Its branches creak like an old sailing ship when the wind picks up. Inside my half-finished workshop, the air smells like sawdust and motor oil, and every surface has a fine coating of metal shavings that glints in the afternoon sun. Here's the thing. When I bought this land, it was outside the Oakwood Falls HOA boundaries. I've got a 2018 survey proving it. The property line ends 200 feet east of my driveway. I made damn sure before signing anything because I've heard the horror stories. HOAs fining people for garden gnomes. Liens for the wrong mailbox color. But 6 months ago, right when I closed, the HOA quietly filed paperwork with the county to correct boundaries, pulling my land into their jurisdiction without notice. No certified letter, no hearing, just bureaucratic theft. That's when I met Deborah Livingston, 49, a real estate agent, HOA president for 18 months. She drives a white Lexus RX, vanity plate HOAQUEEN, because apparently irony is dead. Her voice has the pitch and warmth of a table saw cutting sheet metal. Stories about Deborah circulate like legend. Liens on homes for unauthorized garden gnomes, fines for kids' chalk art, foreclosures over late fees. I also noticed she's cold to the 3 black families in the neighborhood. Dismissive of Javier Cortez, my neighbor, a retired Latino mechanic, and generally treats anyone without a white-collar job like they're trespassing on her country club. Week 1 after I moved in, I get a certified letter. The envelope has that waxy official texture. The paper inside smells faintly of cheap toner and entitlement. A $20,500 fine for an unapproved structure. My garage, which existed before their HOA ever claimed my land. I respond via email with my survey, deed, and a legal opinion from my paralegal buddy. I'm not in your HOA. Week 3. Deborah appears in person. Clipboard, designer sunglasses, photographing my property like she's Sherlock Holmes solving a murder. Threatens a lien. Says I'm setting a bad precedent. I tell her to leave. Week 5. New letter. $5,000 plus $150 in daily penalties. Mentions legal action and foreclosure proceedings. I've dealt with insurgents in Fallujah who negotiated in better faith. That night, my neighbor Javier brought over a beer. "They're bleeding you dry, brother," he said. "That's the game. Make fighting so expensive you quit." I called Lucia Brennan, a sharp local attorney in her early 40s. I'd helped her mother with a drainage issue for free a few years back. She owed me. "Boundary annexation without notice?" Lucia said. "That's not just wrong, Greg. That's fraud." I realized Deborah isn't just targeting me. She's running a scam on 127 families. So I ignored her letters. I was legally right. That's when she went nuclear. She filed a police report, claimed I was trespassing on HOA common areas, my own driveway, and that I'd verbally threatened her. Total lie, which is how I ended up with 2 cops in my driveway at 7:13 a.m., while Deborah stood back smirking, waiting for me to get arrested. In that moment, I understood this wasn't about fines. Deborah was setting me up for something worse. I stayed calm, hands visible, coffee mug in one hand. 20 years in the Army teaches you how to de-escalate before things get stupid. "Morning, officers," I said. "I'm guessing Deborah Livingston called this in." Pacheco, the lead officer, nodded. Report of trespassing on HOA common property. Also a claim you verbally threatened the HOA president. Your side? I laid my paperwork out on the hood of his cruiser. Survey, deed, title, insurance, email chain with Deborah, even a dashcam still frame showing her on my property uninvited. He took his time, radioed something in, checked the survey against the county plat map on his phone. 5 minutes passed. Deborah was still 40 feet back, arms crossed, radiating tension. Finally, Pacheco looked up. "Ma'am," he called out, "this is a civil dispute, not criminal trespass. Mr. Holland has documentation showing his property boundary. You'll need to resolve this through the courts." Her mask cracked. "Excuse me." She stalked forward, heels clicking. "I pay your salary through my taxes, and you're telling me you won't enforce?" Pacheco cut her off, voice flat. "Ma'am, I don't enforce HOA bylaws. If you believe he's in violation of a civil contract, hire a lawyer." She sputtered, spun on her heel, and marched to her Lexus, yanking the door so hard I'm surprised the hinges held. She peeled out, tires squealing. The smell of burnt rubber hung in the air for a solid 10 seconds. Pacheco watched her go, shook his head, and handed me his card. "Mr. Holland, off the record. Document everything. Every interaction, every letter, every time she shows up. I've seen HOAs pull this before. Next time she might embellish more. Protect yourself. I called Lucia. She just flirted with malicious prosecution," she said. "If she's willing to lie to police, she'll lie in court. I'm taking your case. Pro bono for now." Lucia filed a formal complaint with the county about the improper boundary amendment. The law requires certified mail to affected landowners when boundaries change. I never got one. That makes the annexation void. Deborah heard about it. Her spin to the board? "This squatter is attacking our authority with frivolous legal threats. If we back down, every homeowner will stop paying dues." The board, 4 spineless yes men terrified of her, voted to double down. 2 days later, I'm at the hardware store when a young couple, Travis and Mallory Kent, approach me. "We heard you got a lawyer," Travis said. "Can she help us too?" It turned out 9 families were underwater on HOA fines. One elderly couple faced foreclosure over a $12,000 lien that started as $400 in late fees. I realized this was bigger than my property line. This was a predatory scheme. Lucia subpoenaed the HOA's financial records. And here's where it gets good. Her paralegal found $140,000 missing. Vague line items like administrative fees and community enhancement consulting. We cross-referenced the meeting minutes and found that Deborah's LLC was paid $18,000 for property management services, but the HOA already paid a management company. This wasn't petty tyranny. This was embezzlement. And then we found the real gold mine, the foreclosure pattern. Deborah's LLC and board members' family trusts had bought 3 foreclosed properties at auction, all for 40–50% below market value. The pattern was surgical. A family gets fined, can't pay, foreclosure. Insiders buy cheap, flip for profit. This was organized fraud. Lucia filed an amended counterclaim, adding federal RICO allegations. Then, my phone buzzed with a certified letter notification. Not from the HOA, but from a title company. Notice of foreclosure sale. The HOA itself was being foreclosed on by a bank due to an unpaid construction loan from 2019. They hadn't made payments in 18 months. The auction was in 30 days. My engineer brain lit up. Wait, if the HOA loses its common property, what happens to its legal standing? I called Lucia. I just figured out how to buy the HOA. I called my brother, a commercial developer in Texas. "I need a bridge loan. 400 grand, fast," he was in. Mallory's article had gone viral, so I set up a GoFundMe, Save Oakwood Fall. I shook my head slowly. "You should have thought about that before you turned this neighborhood into your personal ATM. At the auction, I raised my paddle. The opening bid was $850,000. $875, I said. Silence. No other bidders. The auctioneer called out, "Sold to bidder 7!" The final hearing was packed. Our side, Lucia, my brother, Javier, Travis, Mallory, and about 60 homeowners in the gallery. Deborah's table was empty. She burst in moments before the hearing started with a new lawyer who couldn't have been 28, a kid in an oversized suit. Lucia presented our case methodically. The HOA's insolvency, the documented fraud, the fact that I now owned the common property. Deborah stood abruptly, ignoring her lawyer's panicked whispers. This is a sham. Greg orchestrated this from the beginning. He never belonged in our HOA, and now he's stealing our neighborhood because courts are rigged. Just then, the side door opened. Detective Morrison from the DA's office walked in, a uniformed officer at his side. He approached the bench, handed the judge a document. The judge looked at it, then at Deborah. Miss Kensington, there's an outstanding warrant for your arrest. This is... Deborah started, her face draining white. You can't. I have rights. Deborah Kensington, Detective Morrison said calmly, you're under arrest for felony embezzlement, fraud in the second degree, and perjury. The handcuffs clicked shut. The metallic sound echoed in the silent courtroom like a period at the end of a very long sentence. The judge cleared her throat. Having reviewed the evidence, this court finds the Oakwood Falls HOA demonstrably insolvent and engaged in systematic fraud. Petition for dissolution is granted. The courtroom erupted in cheers, applause, and crying. This isn't about me winning. It's about 127 families getting their neighborhood back. We formed a community land trust. We cut the monthly dues by 88%. We tore up the ridiculous cosmetic rules. You can paint your house purple if you want. You can put a garden gnome army in your yard. Live your life. The ripple effect continued. Our documentary went viral. State legislature passed a new law, nicknamed Greg's Law, to protect homeowners from similar abuse. I finally finished my workshop, and now I teach weekend metalwork classes for neighborhood kids. My son and I built a bookshelf together on the lathe. My daughter said, Dad, you finally found your purpose after the Army. Maybe she's right. I'm sitting under that old live oak tree one Saturday when a car pulls up. Young couple, maybe late 20s. Are you Greg Holland? The woman asks. That's me. She glances at her husband, then back at me. We just bought a house 3 blocks over, our realtor said. She said you're the reason this neighborhood doesn't have an HOA anymore. We wanted to say thank you. We were priced out of everywhere else because of the fees. I shake their hands. Welcome to Oakwood Falls. You're going to love it here. And as they drive off smiling, I realize this is what victory actually looks like. Not a courtroom drama or a villain in handcuffs, though those help. Real victory is people living free from fear, kids playing without citations, neighbors trusting each other. System serving people instead of crushing them. I came here to build a workshop and live in peace. I got both eventually, but I also got something better. A community worth fighting for. So, here's my question for you. Got an HOA nightmare story? Drop it in the comments. You're not alone, and your story matters. Maybe together we can shine a light on the next Deborah before she destroys another neighborhood. And if you want to see more stories about everyday people taking down corrupt systems, hit that subscribe button.